For this video guys, we're going to be going over all the remembrance spells from the DLC that still need buffs, and how I would buff them if it were up to me. So starting at number 5 guys, we have Rellana's Twin Moons. For the damage it does, the stat requirement actually makes sense, because it is 3 hits and it is capable of killing people in one spell, if they get hit by all of them. The spell's actually pretty good for big groups of people, even single fights, it's really good, especially if you have people that are staying really close to you, because it does do multiple hits, and the last hit does more than all the others, and as well as that, you're floating off the ground while you cast it, so only certain attacks can interrupt you. All of that said, I can't help but feel like that's really just the fact that when the DLC was new, people didn't really know how to react to the move, because the issue is that its range for the AoE on the hits is incredibly short, especially on the first 2. The third one gets a little bit extra, but it's not a significant amount for the people that know what's coming. Anyone that sees the spell and sees the 2 moons, they're instantly going to know that they just need to get away from you, and not that far away either for that matter. The spell is at number 5 because I almost actually didn't put it on here. I almost swapped it out for another one, but once I started using the DLC spells and I realized how short the range was, even though it does have its uses, the range really needs to be fixed for how long the cast speed is, just plain and simple. For number 4 guys, we have the Light of Mika. I'll admit guys, I'm a little bit biased on this spell because I love it visually, and I don't want it stronger just for my own means, but when you think of spells guys, you have to think of multiple things that come with it. So, how much damage it does, how fast the cast speed is, the range of it, and the level requirement. It takes 72 faith to use the Light of Mika, and I think that's actually the highest out of any incantation spell in the game. The reality is guys, is that a faith requirement of 72, this thing should be the strongest spell in the game for incantations, but it's really not. This same level, if I use multi-layered Ring of Light, it actually does equal damage or more, and on top of that I can throw it faster and I have no problems on recovering. The cast speed on that spell is quick. Mikola's Light holds you in place for a really long time to cast a spell. The spell's utility is the only thing that I would consider effective, because people that don't know of your presence, you can shoot them from a distance and it will actually still hit them even if they're inside of buildings or the like, as long as you're locked on. That said, you can't free aim it. Whichever direction you're facing, if you cast it without a lock on, even if you try and angle your camera, it will go as far in that direction as it'll go at its max range, or up until the point that there's a wall that it hits instead and it will cast on the wall. The only other utility is against distracted enemies, but even then there's a downside because it doesn't have a lingering hitbox, it's just 1. So even people that are panic rolling, they can actually avoid the main damage of the spell. The spell is meant to be a slow, heavy-hitting spell, but the problem is, guys, is the heavy hitting really isn't there. The only people you're going to one-shot are people that are failing their vigor checks, even if you're using every single possible buff for the spell in the game. And the Circlet of Light and Dry Leaf Seal currently aren't buffing it. So for number 3 guys, we have Midra's Flame of Frenzy. I was originally very excited for this spell when it came out in the DLC and I got it, but the sad reality is guys, is it's a little underwhelming for what it is. Like, you'll still be able to find uses for it and it still works, you can still kill people with it, but for what it is, the Mega Remembrance Frenzy spell, I don't think it is what it should be. The spell's first downside guys, is the amount of frenzy that you build up while you're using it. It seems faster than other frenzy spells, so you'll need a lot of gear that boosts your focus if you really want to use it, and it also drains your FP pretty quickly as well. The other issue guys is the range. It's very short range, even though it's shooting around 360 degrees, it's still very short range, and even though you can walk during it, it's very slow. It does shoot around you in a 360 degree angle, but it's completely random, meaning you do want to lock onto somebody, but at the very same time, it doesn't have enough range to really do that much. Even if you do a wake up, like you backstab somebody, you parry them in riposte or something of the like, they still have time to get away. Like, you might be able to catch them with the tail end of 1 or 2 of them, but even then, a well-timed roll catch or other spells are better wake-ups than this one is. Sadly guys, it's a worse version than Unendurable Frenzy. I think the Frenzy Eye that shoots the flames needs to be higher in the air, have longer range, and a little bit more damage to make it worth it. That's my personal opinion though. So for number 2, guys, we have Bales Flame Lightning. Now, I was originally, again, very excited for this spell when I first saw it because I realized it was another, basically a Dragon Cult Lightning Spear spell. And even though that's true, the problem is, guys, is it is so slow. Not only is it slow, guys, but you can actually miss somebody at point blank range. I've had people where I see them coming at me, ready to just start wailing on me, and I cast the spell because I figure that the trade with the hyper armor is going to be worth it. But the problem is, guys, is it has such a weird wonky range that even if they're right next to you, it can go over them and miss. It does have a lingering hitbox in the place that you smash it into the ground, but compared to Bale's Tyranny, guys, this spell sucks. It might do more damage, but you'll never hit with it. So at number 1, guys, you probably guessed it, Rotten Butterflies. The thing is, guys, is these don't have a crazy high stat requirement, so that's one thing I'll give it. But the real problem is, guys, is this thing sucks. It's horrible. In every single way you can think of, it's horrible. Every way. Its cast speed sucks, the damage you do with it sucks, and the status effect buildup sucks. The spell does have a small hitbox at the very beginning if they're right up next to you, and every exploding butterfly does its own damage and its own status effect buildup, but no player is going to stay close enough to you to use it, and no boss is going to let you get it off. The only use I found for this spell, guys, was large distracted enemies that were able to get hit by multiple butterflies that gave them the status effect. This spell really needs everything. It needs to do more damage, it needs to have more of a status effect buildup, and even better, they should have made it like the boss, where whoever you're locked onto, it puts a trail of those butterflies in that direction that explode. Because right now, this spell might as well be an emote, and I'm not even joking. Like, even compared to Melania's Scarlet Ionia, it's not even comparable. Like, hers does a lot of damage, and it does status effect build up quickly, especially if they're right on the rot flower. This one, they have to get hit by the butterflies. And the rot clouds left by the butterflies, you guessed it, no status effect build up. These are my opinions though, guys. Leave your thoughts in the comments if you think there's one that I missed that I should have put in here. But for me though, guys, I think these are the ones that more desperately need a buff than the others. But thanks so much for watching, guys. Hopefully I'll catch you on the next one.